Hey guys, it's Han again. I wanted to do something else today, but over the last 24 hours, I've been having serious issues with Copilot Studio tools, specifically prompts. So I wanted to make a little bit of a video just to quickly go through some of the issues that I've been experiencing. Um, Maybe there's someone else out there that has the same issues, or maybe there's someone out there with a solution. But I wanted to go through this today to just quickly hash out some of the issues that I see with prompts specifically, and then we'll work through some of how I've been going through solving them. So the first thing we want to look at is what are these prompts that I'm talking about. Under tools and Copilot agents, we've got the ability to connect it to APIs, connect it to agent flows, um, Power Platform connectors, which is one of the things that I love about Copilot agents. That ability to tap into the existing Power Platform connector framework makes it immensely powerful. Um, so I'm not bashing the tools at all. Just these are just some of the issues. As you can see, I've been sort of trying to get through this a few times. But the challenge that we have here is when we go and create a tool, we've got these options to go and create agent flows, custom connectors, and we will go through these. But what I've been focusing on prompts, and what prompts allow you to do is have a preset instruction or intent, as we can see here, um, to have consistency across our environments. Now, a good example of that would be in a use case that we're busy building out is writing job descriptions. So it would be a job description agent that would be responsible for writing job descriptions according to our policies, right? So the first thing that will catch you off guard is that custom prompt, and with today's date and time, you tend to forget to change that, right? Now, I would personally rather have a warning pop up or having that empty instead of having custom prompt, because like there's a few times where I've needed to go and rename that. You can rename the display name, but you can't rename the underlying object name. And there are several objects that are created in several Dataverse tables to be exact. And that causes some issues because you can't go and rename the core property names. And if you're a little bit pedantic, then that will be a problem. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to call this my YouTube demo prompt. Okay, and in my instructions, I'm going to say write a funky description or funky intro for a video about, and then I'm going to add /. I can also click on the add content, add some text, and I'm going to say my video topic. And I'm going to use Copilot Studio as an example. Now, this sample data over here is only used to test. So I'm going to close that, and then I can go and test my prompt. So up to this point, very good. Like, it's a really, really cool feature. Obviously, you would be a bit more verbose, a bit more specific with these instructions. So I'm going to save that, and then we're going to run into the next thing, right? Now, this environment and the agent we're building, these are all in an existing solution, right? And now, by default, and this might be by design, the agent gets added to the default solution. And in a previous video, we spoke about some of the challenge with that. It's not the end of the world. You can still manually ingest or include the what's called the plugin in your solution to deploy that to other environments. But it's just a bit of a gotcha. Just watch out that it is added to the default solution when you create it, and I haven't found an option to change that. All right, so description of this tool would be writing intros to YouTube videos. All right, so we've got this description, and effectively what happens in the background, we'll try and take a look at that quickly, is it creates an artifact in the Dataverse table called a plugin, and then it adds a topic to your agent solution, right? And it creates a reference to the underlying object, which is a really good design because then you get to share these prompts across agents instead of having them limited. So I'm going to click on add it to that one, and I'm going to click add over there. So the idea here is that what happens is when you add this prompt in my agent, I go and see, all right, well, here's the prompt, and here are the things that the user needs to add. So it's called inputs, right? So what does that look like? Go to my YouTube demo agent. I go to tools, and we should see the prompt over there, right? So this is that reference that I spoke about. It's enabled. We can see it's a prompt. And if I go to my YouTube demo, this is exactly what I'm expecting. Sorry, this is just an issue with the dark theme. They don't want to blind you guys. All right. Now, the biggest challenge that I've had so far is this doesn't always pop up, right? So if I go to my code view, I can see I've got an input. I've typed automatic task input. It's got video topic over there. All right, great. Should prompt user. So the experience you expect is to say, all right, well, as I want to write a YouTube video description, can you write me a intro to a YouTube video? Right, the expectation here is that it will call the tool, it'll pick up, hang on, I need some input from the user, right? So demos, right? And then it would go and execute that prompt because it would pick up that parameter as a required parameter and say, all right, well, listen, user, you want to do this thing and well, I need some information from you, right? Very, very, very cool feature. So I'm going to try and demo this in real time to show you what the challenge is that I've experienced. And I've tried it in several different ways, with several different avenues, but this is probably the biggest challenge. If I go to my tools and I go add a tool, and I'm going to click on prompts, and let's just go mirror mirror, which is another prompt I wrote. I can click on add to agent, which just adds it, or I can go to add and go to the configure screen. And we'll see here that the inputs are missing, right? Now, if I go to open code view, there is no inputs over here. Now, you can go and manually grab some example input from this guy. If I just go input, so just go code view again, I can go and copy that, go back to this guy, go to mirror mirror, and go and draw some example. My input's still on there. And if I open code view, I can go and add them over here, right? Inputs. And then I can just go back and paste that one in. And YAML, if you haven't worked with YAML, the indents are very important because that's how it figures out its structure. All right, now this is all good and well, right? Now, first things first, when you're not used to this, like you wouldn't know to go and look here. It took me quite a while to go and figure out to do this. And now the challenge is I need to go to my tool and go and figure out what exactly I should be calling this property, because this is still going to break because this property doesn't exist in the underlying prompt, that reference that I spoke about, right? Which is a considerable challenge. This doesn't tell me what the error is, but it still allows me to save, which is okay. We'll see here that we've got errors on my inputs, but like there's no way for us to see what that error is. So if that happens to you, just know that you are not alone. Okay, so if I go back to tools, I'm going to go to mirror mirror, and I'm going to see what my thing's called statement. So luckily this is a one word, no space property that I need to add, so it shouldn't be too hard to go and do. Now I can go back there and go to my tools. A good thing to know, like, is I'm happy that this popped up over here because that is the first indicator, like something is wrong in the configuration of your agent, right? So you need to go and do some digging. It's not exactly clear what it, like where it is. So it does take some digging. So I'm just gonna go and replace that, and I'm gonna go like that, call both of them statement. This also hasn't been consistent, but we're going to try and see if this solves our problem. like good example where it doesn't. So over the last 24 hours, I've been trying different iterations, but it keeps on coming up. Like it's very intermittent. So I wanted to show everybody, like, just be aware of this. I will try and reach out to Microsoft to see what we can do or what they can do. At least bring it to their attention. Find out and find out if there's some consistent way to remediate this. So I'm just going to try and add my prompt again, my YouTube prompt demo, and I'm going to add it to the agent like this. So just for the sake of clarity, because it's probably going to come up somewhere, is that we saw, and this is great that this happened, we saw that this YouTube demo prompt worked, and now it's, well, the inputs are gone. So I will try and reach out to some of the people in the Copilot MVP community, and maybe with the Copilot product team, to see what's going on. But I wanted to let you know that this is a problem, so just be aware of it. Be careful when using prompts. The final thing, which is not, I don't think this is necessarily a true bug, but something that happened when I tried to deploy this test agent over here to a different environment through a pipeline. Sorry, let me just go to solutions. Okay, that is going to blind you, so I do apologize. But if I go into my test agent solution, and when I try to deploy this to a different environment over here, like the deployment environment, just to see what that deployment experience looks like, I needed to add these plugins manually to the solution because they aren't included in your solution by default. And you can't be deploying your default solution up and down. Like, that just feels like a bad idea because who knows what is in that default solution, as we've covered it before. So all I did is I added existing, and it will tell you quite clearly what it is expecting you to go and add. So you will, that's how I need to go and find an AI plugin operation, right? And not the plugin instance. So they've broken this down, or that Microsoft's broken like this down in a lot of detail, and like to have different components that we can add. Love it or hate it, that's how it is. But I basically went and added some custom operations because, you know, that's what the deployment pipeline told me it needed. So if I go to my pipelines, when I ran this deploy, it basically gave me an exact list of dependencies that are not in this, that are in the solution, or that the solution references but are not going to be in this environment. So I just added them manually, and the deployment succeeded. So yeah, that's basically it for today. I'm not gonna belabor the point too much. As I said, I will try my very best to get hold of Microsoft and see what the response is to try and solve this. And as soon as I have anything, I will let you know. Just know when you're using prompts in as tools, know that this is a problem. You're not alone, and I will try and get back to you with an answer as soon as possible. Cool. Thanks. Until next time.